Germany's quiet exodus, the brain drain. Nobody's talking about. Picture this. Every year, the country loses 250,000 of its own citizens to emigration. Doctors, engineers, scientists, the exact people it desperately needs. Yet simultaneously, it welcomes over 1 million immigrants, creating a strange arithmetic where the population grows even as the talent base hollows out. But here's the uncomfortable detail everyone dances around. Germany isn't replacing engineers with engineers or doctors with doctors. While highly educated Germans head to Switzerland for double the salary, Germany receives immigration flows dominated by asylum seekers, family reunification cases, and lower-skilled workers. The country projects needing 400,000 skilled workers annually just to maintain its economic engine. But the immigration it actually receives often doesn't match these needs. This isn't immigration gone wrong or xenophobia proven right. This is a structural mismatch, where those with marketable skills increasingly choose the exit, while the social welfare system absorbs those without them. The numbers tell a story German politicians would rather not hear. Between 1991 and 2018, some 3.3 million German citizens packed their bags and left. About 2.5 million eventually came back. But that still leaves a net hemorrhage of 800,000 people over 3 decades. Think about that figure for a moment. 800,000. That's more than the entire population of Frankfurt simply vanishing from the tax rolls, the labor pool, the civic fabric. And the bleeding hasn't stopped. If anything, it's accelerating. In 2023 alone, roughly 1.27 million people emigrated from Germany, with approximately 145,000 German citizens heading specifically to other OECD countries. To put that in perspective, Germany's per capita emigration rate runs 5 times higher than the United States and 10 times higher than Japan. But raw numbers mask the real crisis, because not all emigrants are created equal. Germany isn't losing a representative cross-section of its population. It's losing its best and brightest at rates that should trigger alarm bells in every ministry from Berlin to Bavaria. Nearly half of German-born emigrants hold university degrees, compared to less than a third of those who stay put. This is a textbook brain drain, the kind that development economists usually study in collapsing nations, not in Europe's industrial powerhouse. Yet the immigration side of the ledger tells an equally revealing story. While Germany issues about 200,000 work visas annually under its reformed Skilled Immigration Act, the bulk of its immigration comes through different channels entirely. Asylum applications, family reunification, and EU freedom of movement dominate the inflows. The country desperately needs software engineers, physicians, and specialized technicians. McKinsey projects requirements for 400,000 skilled workers annually. What it often receives instead are people fleeing conflict zones, joining family members, or seeking basic economic opportunities. These aren't bad people or undeserving of compassion, but they're not filling the structural labor gaps that brain drain creates. Germany spends 51.7 billion euros annually on Bürgergeld basic income support, much of it supporting recent arrivals still learning the language and seeking qualification recognition, while simultaneously hemorrhaging tax revenue as its homegrown talent relocates to Zurich. The IAB study found something particularly telling. Nearly half of recent immigrants to Germany were considering leaving within a year, with those having higher education, better German language skills, and actual job offers showing the highest emigration intentions. In other words, Germany successfully attracts exactly the skilled workers it needs, and then creates conditions where they immediately start planning their exit to Switzerland or Austria. Meanwhile, those less integrated into the labor market tend to stay, creating an inverse selection process where the most economically productive immigrants leave while the least economically productive remain. This creates a fiscal trap. Germany needs immigration to offset its aging population, but the immigration it receives often requires more in social services than it contributes in taxes, while the immigration that would be fiscally positive leaves for better opportunities elsewhere. The hemorrhaging cuts deepest in fields Germany can least afford to lose. Take scientists. About 1 in 6 migrate internationally, and around half of those never return. Roughly 1/3 of German scientists who accept positions in the United States make that move permanent, taking decades of education funded by German taxpayers and converting it into American innovation. Medicine tells an even grimmer story. In 2012, over 2,200 physicians emigrated, 2/3 of them German citizens. Now Germany faces 47,000 unfilled medical positions, with projections suggesting shortages could reach 106,000 doctors by 2030. The country has compensated by importing physicians, including approximately 10,000 Syrian doctors, creating a perverse situation where Germany must raid the healthcare systems of war-torn nations to patch holes in its own. The destinations matter as much as the departure. This isn't about Germans scattering randomly across the globe. They're making calculated moves to 2 specific neighbors, Switzerland and Austria. Over 320,000 German citizens now live in Switzerland, making them the largest foreign nationality there, with those numbers climbing steadily. Austria hosts over 230,000 Germans, a population that's surged more than 40% in just a decade. Together, these 2 countries account for roughly 1/3 of German emigration to developed nations. The DACH region, Deutschland, Austria, Confederation Helvetica, is cannibalizing itself, with Germany serving as the unwilling donor. The mathematics of this migration read like a heist movie's take calculation. Swiss salaries run nearly double what Germans earn, around €7,200 monthly versus €3,600. Layer in Switzerland's tax rates roughly half of Germany's, and a skilled worker more than doubles their take-home pay by crossing a border they can see from their kitchen window. Even physicians, already well compensated in Germany around €138,000, see that figure nearly double to €254,000 in Switzerland. Same language, similar culture, twice the money, and half the tax headache. But salary alone doesn't explain the exodus. When Germans cite reasons for leaving, they describe a death by 1,000 bureaucratic cuts. High taxes, yes. Germany takes nearly half of what workers earn between income tax and social security, far more than most developed nations. Yet emigrants also mention suffocating bureaucracy, the kind that requires 6 forms to accomplish what should take one. They talk about work-life imbalance, particularly in healthcare where 80-hour weeks under rigid hierarchies break even the most dedicated. They describe career advancement as glacial, especially in academia where short-term contracts stretch into decade-long holding patterns. Nearly 40% of potential emigrants name bureaucracy as a key factor. Not taxes, not money, but the simple, soul-crushing friction of dealing with a sclerotic system that seems designed to punish initiative. Then there's the money that leaves without the people. Germany's wealth drain has reached what analysts delicately call an inflection point, which is economist speak for "we're in serious trouble." Net capital outflows hit approximately €250 billion in 2023. Foreign direct investment, which hit €150 billion in 2021, collapsed to just $43 billion by 2024. The IW Institute documented a record €125 billion in net FDI outflows in 2022 alone, with nearly 70% flowing to other European states. This is capital voting with its feet, or rather, with its bank transfers. For high net worth individuals, 2025 marks a turning point. Henley and Amp, Partners Projects. Germany will experience its first ever net outflow of millionaires, losing 400 more than it gains. Tax advisor Marcus Baumgartner observes that moving abroad has shifted from thought experiment to action plan among his wealthy clients. Germany's exit tax system tries to stem this tide by triggering taxation up to 45% on unrealized gains for anyone who's been a tax resident for 7 years. A November 2024 reform expanded to include investment funds. But exit taxes are double-edged swords. They deter departure while simultaneously creating resentment that, once overcome, makes return even less likely. The wealthy are heading to Canton Zug with its remarkably low tax rates, to Dubai for its 0% regime, to Italy for its flat tax deals for the ultra-wealthy. Germany watches its wealth generators pack up and wonders why the treasure chest feels lighter each year. Political upheaval has transformed this slow leak into something approaching a rupture. A June 2025 study of 50,000 immigrants found that over a quarter had considered leaving Germany in the past year, roughly 2.6 million people actively contemplating departure. Political dissatisfaction topped the reasons cited. Among German citizens polled in May 2025, well over half said they would leave if circumstances permitted. September 2024 proved to be a watershed. The AfD made substantial gains in state elections, winning nearly a third of votes in Thuringia and achieving strong showings in Saxony and Brandenburg. The party's platform centers on restricting immigration, particularly from non-EU countries, reducing social welfare payments to new arrivals, and prioritizing German interests first in economic policy. Their rising support reflects genuine voter frustration with issues that mainstream parties have struggled to address. The fiscal burden of integrating. Large numbers of low-skilled immigrants, rising housing costs in areas with rapid demographic change, and concerns about cultural integration. Whether one agrees with their solutions or not, the AfD has successfully articulated anxieties that many Germans, including skilled workers, genuinely feel about the country's direction. Then, in November 2024, the Ampel coalition government collapsed after the dismissal of Finance Minister Lindner, triggering snap elections in February 2025. This all unfolded during Germany's unique distinction as the only G7 nation experiencing economic contraction for 2 consecutive years. When a country combines political instability, economic stagnation, and a fracturing consensus on fundamental questions like immigration and fiscal policy, the people with passports and employable skills start checking real estate listings in Zurich. Some skilled workers and wealthy individuals cite AfD's rise as a concern about Germany's future political stability. Others, privately, admit sympathy with the party's core critique, even if they dislike its tone. They see the immigration mismatch themselves. They pay the taxes funding it, and they watch Switzerland manage its borders far more selectively while maintaining prosperity. The mainstream political response has been to dismiss AfD voters as deplorable rather than address their underlying concerns. This strategy has proven spectacularly ineffective. When engineers earning 80,000 euros watch nearly half disappear to taxes, while Bürgergeld recipients in their apartment building receive comparable net income without working, they don't need AfD propaganda to feel something is broken. When doctors watch their emergency rooms overwhelmed by patients who've never paid into the system while they face 6-month waits for specialist appointments their insurance should cover, they draw their own conclusions. The AfD didn't create these observations. They simply offered a political channel for them. The paradox cuts deep. Those best integrated into German society show the highest emigration intentions. IAB researcher Lucas Ulbrich notes that immigrants who came for work or education, who have higher degrees, economic success, and strong language skills, are precisely the ones most likely to consider leaving. IT workers lead the exodus intentions, followed by finance and healthcare professionals. Germany successfully integrates skilled workers into its economy and society, teaches them German, validates their credentials, and then watches them take those investments to Switzerland. Native-born Germans with similar profiles show parallel patterns. They're not fleeing persecution or extremism. They're making cold calculations about lifetime earnings, tax efficiency, and quality of life. When a Munich-based software engineer can earn substantially more in Zurich while paying far less in taxes, keep more of their inheritance when parents pass, and enjoy better infrastructure, the surprising thing isn't that people leave. It's that so many stay. Many cite frustration watching Germany's immigration policy as a contributing factor. They pay the highest taxes in the OECD to fund integration services, language courses, and welfare benefits for arrivals who may never contribute equivalently, while receiving no comparable support themselves if they hit hard times. The perception, fair or not, is that Germany prioritizes newcomers over its existing productive citizens, subsidizing one group's arrival while taxing the other group's departure. COVID disrupted but didn't fundamentally alter these trends. Total emigration dipped to 966,000 in 2020, the lowest since 2010, before rebounding to 1.27 million by 2023. The pandemic's real legacy was normalizing remote work, creating new possibilities for people to maintain German employment while living in lower tax jurisdictions, adding yet another wrinkle to an already complex picture. Within the German-speaking world, Germany is losing the regional talent war decisively. Switzerland doesn't just pay more. It offers Zurich as the world's #1 city for expat quality of life, according to Mercer's 2024 rankings, with Geneva at number 3. Swiss residents feel noticeably safer walking alone at night than Germans do. Austria counters with Vienna, which has held the title of world's most livable city for 10 consecutive years, offering similar benefits to Switzerland at lower costs and with EU membership perks. German residents in Austria have surged over 40% in just a decade, suggesting the country is capturing talent that might once have stayed home. Germany's response, the 2023 Skilled Immigration Act, lowering EU blue card thresholds and introducing an opportunity card for job seekers, represents significant liberalization on paper. Yet, as the Friedrich Naumann Foundation dryly notes, formal migration legislation is just one component of successful immigration policy. You can't legislate away a 37.4% tax burden or crumbling infrastructure with a new visa category. Now consider who bears the weight of all this exodus. Germany's 5.5 million Bürgergeld recipients, the people on basic income support, represent a complex mix. Some are Germans who've fallen on hard times. Some are long-term residents who never fully integrated into the labor market. And a substantial portion are recent arrivals still navigating language barriers and credential recognition. Federal spending on these benefits reached 51.7 billion euros in 2024, up from 32 billion a decade earlier. Single adults receive 563 euros monthly, recently increased but still leaving many in precarious circumstances. The fiscal mathematics create a squeeze from both directions. As educated Germans and successful immigrants leave for Switzerland, they take their tax contributions with them. The country then recruits new immigrants to fill demographic gaps. But when those arrivals are predominantly asylum seekers and family reunification cases rather than engineers and physicians, they often require years of language training, credential recognition, and integration support before becoming net fiscal contributors, if they ever do. Some never will, through no fault of their own, but simply because they lack the educational foundation for Germany's highly technical economy. This creates a growing mismatch. The tax base shrinks as contributors leave, while the population requiring social services expands. The remaining productive workers, particularly those unable to emigrate themselves, watch their tax burden increase to fund a system that seems to reward everyone except them. The demographic mathematics read like a fiscal death sentence. Germany's working-age population will shrink from approximately 50 million today to somewhere between 35 and 39 million by 2050, nearly a quarter fewer workers. The worker-to-pensioner ratio will deteriorate from roughly 2 workers per pensioner today to barely more than 1 by mid-century. The pension system already consumes a quarter of every tax euro, requiring annual contributions around 300 billion euros. As the productive population contracts and the dependent population expands, something has to give. Either benefits get cut, taxes go up, or the whole arrangement collapses. Eastern Germany serves as the canary in this coal mine. Since reunification, nearly 2 million people net have migrated from east to west, leaving the region with almost 1/5 fewer inhabitants than 1989. The IWH Halle Institute documents what happened. It was mainly the less well-educated and older people who were left behind, while West Germany's workforce was rejuvenated and improved its level of education. Economic output in the East stagnates at roughly 3/4 of Western levels despite decades of subsidization. This is Germany's future in miniature. Regions losing talent become less attractive, which causes more talent to leave, which makes them even less attractive, spiraling downward until you're left with the elderly, the poor, and those too young to have options yet. The healthcare crisis makes this abstract problem brutally concrete. Germany trains far fewer doctors per capita than most EU countries, yet more than 1/3 of its physicians are approaching retirement age, the highest proportion in Europe. Projections indicate 5,000 to 8,000 general practice closures in the next 3 years alone. For welfare recipients and those lacking mobility, this means watching healthcare access deteriorate in real time. Eastern states like Brandenburg and Saxony-Anhalt face dramatic doctor shortages, with hundreds of practices closed due to unfilled vacancies. Young doctors trained at Leipzig or Dresden frequently leave for Western positions the moment they complete their residencies. Foreign physicians, many from non-EU countries, increasingly staff rural hospitals that struggle to recruit domestically, but even that pipeline is proving insufficient. The feedback loop intensifies with each iteration. Regions losing talent become less attractive to the immigrants who might replace them. IWH researchers note that areas with higher skepticism toward immigration, particularly pronounced in Eastern Germany, struggle more to attract qualified foreign workers who could help reverse decline. But this skepticism didn't emerge from nowhere. These are often the regions that experienced the most rapid demographic change, with the least economic capacity to absorb it, where unemployment remains higher and public services thinner. When Leipzig loses its young doctors to Munich or Zurich, then struggles to convince a Syrian physician to relocate there despite offering work permits, the community faces an uncomfortable choice: accept continued decline or recalibrate what kind of immigration it needs versus what kind it receives. Skilled immigrants themselves navigate this tension carefully. A Bangalore-trained software engineer deciding between Munich and Zurich doesn't just compare salaries. They assess social cohesion, political stability, and whether they'll spend years fighting bureaucracy. When Germany's public discourse revolves around integration failures and cultural conflicts, rather than celebrating successful integration, high-skilled candidates draw obvious conclusions. Switzerland, meanwhile, maintains some of Europe's strictest immigration policies, cherry-picking exactly the talent it wants while firmly limiting other categories. This selectivity hasn't made Switzerland less attractive to skilled workers. If anything, it's enhanced the perception of order, fiscal responsibility, and social cohesion that make it appealing. Germany's more open approach creates a perception problem, where skilled workers wonder if they're entering a well-managed system or a chaotic one. Boston Consulting Group estimates that skilled worker shortages cost Germany somewhere between 80 and 97 billion euros in lost economic growth in 2022 alone. More than 2% of GDP simply evaporating because the right people weren't in the right places. IWH Köln projects a shortage of 5 million qualified workers by 2030. 5 million. That's not a labor market adjustment. That's a structural crisis. The emigration of high earners particularly devastates progressive tax systems. While middle-class families face effective tax rates exceeding 40%, the wealthy who leave take substantial income, inheritance, capital gains, and consumption tax revenues with them. McKinsey projects that without economic growth, pension contribution rates would need to climb several percentage points just to maintain current benefit levels. And that's assuming the situation doesn't worsen. The German Council of Economic Experts warns that fixing the pension level will intensify conflicts between pensioners and contributors, a bit of technocratic understatement that translates to, young workers are going to realize they're paying for a system that won't be there for them, and that realization will accelerate their departure. The social contract is breaking. visible in Swiss bank accounts and Austrian rental agreements. Here's what makes this crisis particularly insidious. Germany hasn't fundamentally failed at anything. It hasn't suffered a war, a natural disaster, or a financial collapse. It remains wealthy by global standards, democratic, stable. The brain drain is happening precisely because Germany is good enough that people can succeed there, build skills there, establish careers there, and then leverage all that accumulated human capital to go somewhere that treats them better. Germany has become a training ground for Switzerland and Austria, a finishing school for other countries' labor markets. The tragic irony is that Germany opened immigration doors wide while creating a system that drives away exactly the immigrants it needs and retains those it can least afford. A country can be generous with social services, or it can have relatively open immigration, but attempting both simultaneously while taxing productive workers at rates that incentivize emigration creates fiscal suicide. Switzerland's model, highly selective immigration focused on economic contribution, generous services for those admitted, and tax rates that keep wealth and talent from fleeing, proves that a different balance is possible. Germany's choice to prioritize humanitarian immigration while simultaneously driving away economic immigrants through high taxes and bureaucracy represents the worst of both approaches. Expert consensus points toward fundamental changes Germany must make: reduced bureaucracy that respects people's time, competitive taxation that doesn't punish success, more selective immigration policy that prioritizes economic contribution, genuine integration efforts that make newcomers feel valued, and honest reckoning with fiscal sustainability. The current system, where a skilled worker earning 80,000 euros pays more in taxes than a Bürgergeld recipient receives in benefits, while waiting 6 months for a doctor's appointment, is breaking down. The question is whether Germany will fix it through deliberate policy reform, or whether it will simply continue hemorrhaging talent until crisis forces change. So here we stand at the inflection point. Germany can continue its current path, watching the talented depart for Switzerland's tax efficiency, the wealthy flee to Dubai's zero-rate regime, and the social contract fray as contributors decline while dependents increase. Or it can recognize that successful countries in the 21st century compete for human capital through policy excellence, not moral appeals. The clock is already ticking. Every month, thousands of highly educated Germans make quiet decisions that compound into a national crisis. Every quarter, billions in capital find friendlier jurisdictions. Every year, the ratio of contributors to dependents shifts a little further toward unsustainability. This isn't about pessimism or doomsaying. It's about recognizing that Germany is engaged in global competition for talent, whether it admits it or not. And right now, it's losing decisively. The question isn't whether brain drain is happening. The data is incontrovertible. The question is whether Germany has the political courage to make the hard choices required. Selective immigration that prioritizes economic contribution, tax reform that stops punishing success, bureaucratic streamlining that respects people's time, and honest acknowledgement that current fiscal arrangements are unsustainable. Every country faces trade-offs between generosity and sustainability. Germany has chosen to pretend those trade-offs don't exist, and it's paying the price in Swiss bank accounts and Vienna rental agreements. For those watching this, particularly young Germans weighing their futures, you're not wrong to consider your options. The math is real. The opportunities abroad are better, and nobody should fault you for choosing prosperity over patriotism. The country needs to decide if it wants to compete for talent or resign itself to managing decline. And that decision is being made right now, one emigration application at a time, whether German politicians acknowledge it or not.